This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
This
Just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Wednesday, fam. How we feeling?
Hump day, hump.
Yeah. I like it. Stephanie Jones.
Steph, you have to top that.
I don't have anything. I feel so bad for Al after I just sprayed my little snot all over.
No, she sneezed and she covered her mouth and she got a Kleenex and I'm like, it's okay. She's
You're
like,
human.
I'm sorry. I'm like, what do you? It'd be weirder if I found out you had been holding them in all these years. So yes, it's fine. But
6 years in, we got a bit of snot spray.
I never know who's going to be in that seat down there, and I never know what they're going to say. So thanks for the update. All right, let's get to it. Has this ever happened to you? You go to watch a movie that you loved growing up, right? Only to find that parts of it are unwatchable because the times have changed. So should those movies be censored for today's audience? Steven Spielberg spoke about it in a Times interview back in 2002 when Steven edited the guns out of a scene from E.T. Here's what he said about it.
No film should be revised based on the lenses we now are either voluntarily or being forced to peer through. But E.T. was a film that I was sensitive to the fact that the federal agents were approaching a bunch of kids with their firearms exposed, and I thought I would change the guns into walkie-talkies. But E.T. and that was because years had gone by, and I had changed my own views. I should never have messed with the archive of my own work.
I appreciate that in this case. So should we go back and censor old movies? Perhaps from the 80s is probably the time we'd go back and censor some?
Yeah, for sure. I would say I like two things about this Steven Spielberg thing. One, that he admitted that he would have he changed his mind. Do you know what I mean? I like that he said I made
That's a great thing to pick out.
I made a mistake. I changed I'm flexible of thought, and I have changed my mind. I also have changed my mind. I thought perhaps we should cover things up, and I think what he said is as they are markers of history.
Yes.
And when you go back, they are almost archival of what the culture was like. So I actually have changed my mind, much like Spielberg. We're so alike, me and Steven.
What do you? We're gonna go back on topic. What do you think about the statues now being torn down across the country, 2 years ago?
Right. For me,
have you changed on that stance?
No, to me, statues are an elevation of someone and a promotion of someone. And for me, I don't think we need to elevate people that were racist in historical context. So that to me has stayed.
But okay.
But movies are different.
Yeah, I think we'll just
Keep it back to the movies. I just was curious how flexible.
No, we're having a conversation here, Jeff, and
Right,
that's
where
a
the
very
line
fair
is.
question to
Right.
ask. Steph, when I think about this, I do appreciate what Steven Spielberg had to say, and I don't want us to ever be in a situation where we can run from who we were. And I think showing ourselves and what we thought in the 80s, what we thought in the 90s, where the F-bombs, the other F-bombs were being thrown around, we need to address that. There's a reason that we don't say that anymore, because we looked at that and we were like, that's repugnant. We're not going to say the R word anymore. But if we had censored all that out, it's the whole thing. You're going to be doomed to repeat it.
It's sanitizing,
so
right?
So I'm fine with that. And the movies that do have too much content to edit out, that people do find untoward, people will stop watching them. And that's the only thing you need to do. If you want something to go away, stop watching it.
I completely agree. I think there's a real problem if we're going to erase history, erase how things were, whether it's a political, historical, entertainment with movies. I think people need to see the change, the evolution, and how we've become, I hate using the word woke, or more aware as a society, and how things should keep progressing. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think it's fine for Steven Spielberg to say, hey, you know what? I don't like that scene. I've glorified guns in the past with some of my movies, and that shouldn't be the case. And that's why moving forwards, things like Aladdin had a line in Arabian Nights changed because it was very, it was awful. It's very stereotypical and very unkind. So I think there's things that we can do moving forwards, but I think changing the past and erasing the things and how they were at the time is very dangerous. I don't think that's the right thing to do.
I don't even like changing the guns, really, from E.T.
Well, it's so weird that, we might want to take guns out of movies from back then, but we looked at guns differently because teenagers weren't grabbing them and shooting up schools anymore. Now we look at guns in 2023 much differently. So that movie seems different to us because, unfortunately, our reality has changed.
Absolutely. So on a related note, the poster girl for 80s teen movies, Molly Ringwald, said she can't watch her classic 1985 hit The Breakfast Club with her 13-year-old daughter. She told The Guardian, quote, there were certain things that were accepted in the 80s that just wouldn't be accepted today. She also called out a storyline in 16 Candles where Jake trades his drunk girlfriend to have sex with Farmer Ted in exchange for a pair of stolen underwear. I'm laughing because that sounds insane.
Ridiculous.
So that I believe you should be able to take out because it has nothing to do with the plot line or anything. But I don't think Steven Spielberg's guns being taken out, because now you're watching a movie and you're like, why are they running from a bunch of people with walkie-talkies? That's part of the plot line, right? This has nothing to do with anything. I think certain things should stay, certain things should be cut out if it offends people, but we have to have discernment. We can't just erase history as a whole.
Right. And also, is it that improbable, Steph, that if we do think that there's been an alien invasion, that we might send some armed police down there to check it out? I mean, it's not.
That's what I mean.
Grab your walkie-talkies.
Right, this might get crazy, and some pepper spray.
It's the over-censorship that I'm worried about, and I feel like we've gotten to that place a little bit, and I commend people that are starting to pull back a little bit. Steven Spielberg did this a long time ago, but we're seeing it now with executives, directors, studios, because they were firing people like that.
Yes.
That cancel culture got out of control, and people are changing their thought, like, maybe I went a little bit too far.
Yeah, for sure. And even if it's a disclaimer at the front, that's important. But I don't even know if I would change, again, sorry to go back, like the trading the girlfriend thing, like, I guess I wonder where the line is.
Yeah.
I wonder where the line is, that's all.
No, I think it's shocking. I think obviously it's like a horrific thing and a scene, and like.
But it was part of.
But it was part of that movie, and I think, like, you know, leave it alone. It's shocking enough, like you said, have a disclaimer or say something like this. Scenes in this can be very disturbing, shocking. You know, parent advisory, but don't take it out.
Yeah, you just won't watch it.
Well, I appreciate the conversation and the juxtaposition.
Thank you.
All right, so Bruce Willis and Demi Moore are grandparents. Congratulations. Their daughter, Rumor Willis, revealed that she gave birth to her daughter at home. I remember when Rumor was born.
A baby.
Like, wow, this is crazy. So this is the first grandchild for Demi and Bruce. Rumor revealed her daughter's name, so it's Louetta Eiley Thomas Willis, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Another first-time mom, Kaylee Cuoco, named her daughter Matilda, but calls her Tildy for short. I like that. And convicted fraudster Elizabeth Holmes kicks off her 11-year prison sentence tomorrow. She recently named her daughter Invicta, which is Latin for unconquered.
Well, she wasn't. So.
Jeffrey Dahmer named his kid. Oh, no. I thought we were sticking to that theme. I'm just kidding. But one mom on TikTok blasted an influencer for naming their child Cozy. Let's watch.
I'm saying, as far as like names that are cutesy nicknames, those aren't going to age well, you know? And you can name your child whatever you want, that's fine, it's your kid. But if you're going to name your kid something like Flower, just sit on it, you know? Just sleep on it. Try to, you know, consider that name for an adult and make sure that's what you really want for them.
Thanks, 18-year-old TikToker, for career advice. I appreciate that from your kitchen.
And also
from your kitchen.
It's humorous to me that adults feel like they have control about what your kid will actually be called. Because if your kid is named Flower, they don't want to go by that, they'll go by Flo. There's always a nickname that somebody can come up with. And as somebody that taught middle school, and obviously I'm born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, and then I've seen names evolve, and then now they're coming back full circle. We're starting to see names like Pearl. My grandmother's name was Marcella. These kind of
Matilda.
It's always
these names are very cyclical.
Yeah, my mom always said the name fairy comes and drops it in the nursery because it's always the grandparents. So now the Evelyns are coming back, and the Ediths and the Ethels are really cute and coming back.
What was the name fairy doing with Cozy?
Maybe it was a Danish look. I kind of like when people go out of, like, I know I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow very much. I didn't hate Apple.
I think it's so cute.
I kind of like when someone goes like, I don't like Elon Musk when it's like, hey, like you can't pronounce it.
Right.
But like, I kind of like when it's a weird, I don't know.
You're also, if you're Gwyneth Paltrow, your kid's not going to have a normal life.
Right,
so like being like in school with the name Apple, no one's going to care because you're going to be, it doesn't even, I don't even know if you do schoolwork.
I think it makes someone like more identifiable, a bit different. It gives them a bit of an edge, a bit of a personality. I love the Kardashian names like Air, Saint, True. I think it's so nice. It's different.
Yes,
Why not?
I think in a regular...
I'm having a baby, but I would have a bonkers name. I know I would.
I don't know what you thought about, but when I named my kids, I was really conscious about like whether it rhymed with something or whether this, because you don't, listen, we think, like we were talking about this before, you think you could pad the walls for your kids in life in general, and you can't. And if you name them something crazy, they're going to face the consequences for it, whether you think they are or they are not. If you name them
the drop off in the name Art, but no,
Or Karen, like you think socially, things like that, like no one.
Yeah.
Karen has had an enormous.
I'm sure
drop-off
Karen has
because of
taken
that.
a hit as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, for sure.
But there are names that kind of, I feel like the best way to do it, and it meant something to me. I'm named after somebody.
Yes.
Even if it's not a direct, you know, to have your name mean something, even if it's in a language that makes it a word that most Americans can't explain, can't pronounce. I don't care. If your name means something, and you feel like you're carrying on a legacy, I do think it helps you kind of steward your way through life. So your name does mean something.
Yeah, and quick tip, check to see what it autocorrects to when you're naming a baby, because I've had that problem with friends.
So smart.
Yeah, if you have a regular name with a weird spelling, it's
check the
going
autocorrect.
to, because it's
My
just
name
going
is
to
a
always
nightmare.
kind of do that, and it'll in this age of technology, most of the time you ever see your name, it will be in a computer, not on the written word.
That is really annoying. I
Something to
must say,
think
there's
about.
2 ways to spell my name, probably even more, but everyone spells it wrong all the time. Drives me bonkers. I don't think it's that crazy. So if you had a bit more of an inventive name, it would be so frustrating.
Are you down with Stephanie?
Yeah, you know what? I actually think it's a really boring name. Sorry to any of the Stephanies. But I just feel like the name Stephanie is just
What do you feel like?
I don't know. So I have no
What does
idea.
Stephanie look like?
What would you name me? I feel Tori's really good at this game. We're going really off-piste here, guys.
Kiwi.
I'll take it.
Guava.
No, you
Oh,
stopped.
I would so take it. I would so take it.
Something cute and funky.
I don't think I'm a Stephanie. And you know what it is? There's PH version and there's an F version.
Right.
People never know. Honestly, in Europe, I don't know about in America. Americans have been a lot better at spelling my name, actually. I will say that. In Europe, it's a nightmare.
What about Penelope for her?
I'll take it.
Or Clementine.
No, they were done.
I'll take it.
I don't like Clement. You're just naming fruits.
I'm hungry.
Jeff is done.
Jeff is like,
I
what
like
has
to
just
sit.
happened?
I like to just sit
I was a
here and sit in
Victoria,
it.
but not a Vicky. That was always, I was told.
Oh, you're
to be
not a Vicky.
Right, I was a Tori.
Tori is not a Vicky.
Right, very different.
Do we have to go, or should we keep playing? Oh, okay, wrap.
Jeff, you should have
Coming
played.
up on DBL, actress Laura Dern is talking about what brought her closer to her mom, Diane Ladd. And Meghan Trainor is in trouble over harsh comments she made about teachers. Tori's going to explain and tell some more fruit names in her segment, Actually.
Cherry.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm going to have a conversation about what's happening now.
Poppy a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I was talking to BJ, who's doing such a great job of manning the camera. And, you know, my middle name is Benjamin. So anybody that knows me from like 0 to 6 calls me Benji. Like
No
all
way.
my old school relatives call me
Benji?
Benji. Yeah.
Isn't that weird when someone else knows you in a different way?
It's but like when people call me Al Jackson, I know that you know me from entertainment. If you call me Albert, like you know me from family Cleveland. Like my mom calls me Albert.
Yeah, my mom calls me Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's weird if my dad calls me Tori. Yeah.
that would be
But I was named after my mom was told I wasn't gonna make it, and they were told to have an abortion. This is back in '82, and they went to a second opinion and they said no, she's not gonna have Gaucher's 1, which is a disease. She'll have Gaucher's 2, which is just a carrier, so you can have your baby. So it was a victory, so they named it Victoria, because it was victorious that I was able to be born. I don't know if that name though, it carries a lot of weight to be like victory. That's like a lot.
You have been victorious over a lot of. You got over your agoraphobia.
Yeah, I went out
which
of the
is a
house.
big deal.
Big deal. And but I don't know, Invicta, especially when you've just been convicted. Invicta and convicted are too similar to me.
Convicta.
Convicta. Oh, that's good.
There we go.
That's a good one. Convicta. Elizabeth Holmes. She was head of Theranos.
You know what's so weird?
11 years.
I was looking at 11 years. She stole 18
She stole billions because
Yeah,
she raised it for a
18
phony.
billion, and like she only got 11 years for that.
Yeah, guess who represented her?
Who?
Pop's firm.
There we
Way
go.
to go, Williams and Connolly.
Have 30 seconds.
Welcome back. There seems to be a trend this week. Celebs retracting their oopsies.
Whoops.
That's never good news for them, but it sure is good for gossip sites. And us. But actually, who slipped up and said things they wish they didn't? Let's talk about it. You know she's all about that mix, but apparently not all about the teachers. In an episode of Megan's podcast, while having a combo with Trisha Paytas, Megan said something not so nice about educators.
We're homeschooling our kids.
Same. I think everyone
Yeah,
like
we all,
have.
everyone on TikTok is.
Teachers, that was my trauma. Teachers, and,
Teachers,
you know,
dude.
but the
Teachers and teacher supporters, which, let's be honest, is pretty much everyone, took to the comment section under the YouTube video of the podcast to slam Megan for her careless comment. In a TikTok apology, Megan said she was just heated up about the current state of school shootings in America and didn't truly mean what she said.
I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry to any teachers who I made feel bad.
But actually, the TikTok apology didn't really help matters, and the comments on that video were just as angry. Seems like her PR team needs to Megan train her better. Matthew Perry. Chandler Bing, could he be any more Matthew Perry, also had to make a retraction this week after a Keanu Reeves burn in his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. Now, in the book, he grieved the loss of original thinkers like River Phoenix, Chris Farley, Heath Ledger, and made the contrast that Keanu Reeves still walks among us. Seems like Matthew has some kind of beef with Keanu, although he said he just randomly chose a name. But actually, he made the Keanu reference twice in the book, so it doesn't seem that random to me. But Matthew said he will take out Keanu's name for all future copies of the book. He is Neo, after all. But here's a question for you. If you could retract one thing in your life, what would it be? I'll give you some time to think about that, and don't make it be watching this show. We'll be right back. Don't make it be.
You already know it's important to lather up on sunscreen, but what about clothing claiming to also help protect you from the sun's damaging ultraviolet rays? One verified viewer saw labels saying it has a UPF, or ultraviolet protection factor, and texted us to see if this means the same thing as SPF, which is used to measure sunscreen's effectiveness. So, let's verify. Is there a difference between SPF and UPF? Our sources are the Skin Cancer Foundation, the American Academy of Dermatology, and Dr. Adam Friedman, Chair of Dermatology at George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences. SPF and UPF can help you determine how effective a product is at protecting you from the sun. SPF measures time, or how long sunscreen works at blocking the sun, and UPF measures how much of the sun's rays are blocked by a fabric. For example, under ideal conditions, an SPF 30 sunscreen will help keep your skin from burning 30 times longer than it would without any sunscreen. An article of clothing with a UPF of 30 means the fabric blocks around 97% of the sun's rays from reaching your skin. Our sources recommend using at least an SPF 30 sunscreen and UPF 30 clothing.
There's no one way to fully protect yourself from the sun. I think you want to take a combination approach. So that includes using sunscreen SPF 30 or higher and clothing to protect the exposed areas.
So, yes, there is a difference between SPF and UPF. All fabric has some sort of protection from the sun, even if it doesn't have a UPF rating. And in general, dark or brightly colored clothing is more effective. With Your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back. Laura Dern and her mom, actress Diane Ladd, have become much closer after a doctor said Diane only had 6 months to live back in 2018. So Laura forced her mom to go on walks every day to help her with her diagnosis. Laura recorded their conversations, which they turned into a book. She said her mom opened up about losing her first child at 18 months old and also opened up about her painful divorce from Laura's dad, Bruce Dern. Laura told Hoda Kotb she avoided asking these tough questions to her mom all these years. Let's watch.
I was shocked at how little I'd asked her. The hard stuff because I thought, oh, I don't want to bring it up and hurt her. But even the simple stuff. I've been raised by an actor. I've worked alongside my mother, and yet I'd never asked, why did you want to become an actress? From this tiny town in Mississippi, from a veterinarian father. What was the first movie that ever inspired you? What's your favorite color?
What is your favorite color?
Which, by the way, I didn't know. She was like Rose, like the name I was first given by my mother.
So check this out. After all that Laura said, it turns out Diane had been misdiagnosed and is doing well.
A second chance. That's insane. I think this is...
Well, no, because there wasn't really... you know what I mean?
Yes.
Nothing really happened, so it's still her first chance.
But to think you're going to go,
yes.
But I think this is important just with timing. My last thing my grandmother ever said to me is she had Alzheimer's or dementia, excuse me, and I was doing the can and like shaking around, and she just goes, oh, you remind me so much of someone I used to know. And it was such an interesting way of saying that. And I just think timing-wise, it's so important to tell the people how you feel about them now and how real it is. And I mean, we all have heard this over and over again, but like today, pick up a phone and call someone. Today, do it, not tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's hard though. You know, we're talking about people from different generations, and you know, we interact with our kids, and we're on Snapchat with them talking. But like, my father came from a generation that raised him that was kids are not to speak until spoken to. The idea of having some kind of rapport with your dad was unheard of. So the idea that you don't know much about your parents makes a lot of sense to me. So I think a lot of guys, like I can only speak for dads because me and Jeff are up here, we have tried to almost overcorrect that because we didn't feel comfortable asking, especially our fathers and moms. Were more open books, but our fathers for a long time and the men in our family weren't taught to emote because that's not what men were allowed to do. They were going to war. You know, they didn't have time to...
You think this is harder for men then?
Absolutely. Well, just that generation in general,
Does it make you feel uncomfortable, like the thought of having those kinds of conversations with your parents, particularly dads, seeing as you seem to say that?
I don't... My dad would... I wouldn't have been... I didn't have the words at that time to have that conversation with my dad. I wish I had, but I didn't. What about you?
I feel like my mum and dad have always been like way too open and honest to the point where I'm like cringing, like, please, I do not need to know about these experiences that you've had. But I'll tell you what, like, so my partner is a bit older than me, and I am so aware of that age difference and the fact that ultimately one day, if nature took its course, he will pass long before I do. And it's so morbid and depressive. But someone that was really, really important and close to me died very suddenly at a similar age, and I am so now aware of that, and I am so conscious, and it really has impacted. Like, if I was probably dating someone the same age as me, would I be like that? No, I wouldn't. I'd probably take them a hell of a lot more for granted, but it makes me act on that. I really think about that every single day. So I think with my family, especially with my partner, I'm very vocal on all those things. I ask a million questions that he's probably like, please, dear God, stop.
I think that's a good thing because it makes you realize of your own mortality, right? And I think people aren't aware of that, and they just do whatever they want and say whatever they want to people and treat them how they want. And then, you know, a couple years later, nobody's there for them and they die alone. So that's their ultimate punishment. Wow, things got morbid. We'll be back. Don't write mad things.
If you've ever looked up to see a plane streaking across the sky, you can't miss the long white clouds they leave behind. Conspiracy theorists claim the clouds are chemtrails, or trails of chemicals being dropped on people below. Videos on social media with the hashtag chemtrails have more than 143 million views. And even today, some people, like Verify viewer Monica, want to know if chemtrails are real. So, let's verify. Our sources are the American Chemical Society, the Environmental Protection Agency, the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research, and a 2016 study into contrails by UC Irvine and the Carnegie Institute for Science. All of our sources say no, chemtrails are not real. The streaks you see in the sky are called condensation trails, or contrails. In case you need more convincing, let's explain how jets fly. Jet engines run incredibly hot at more than 3,000 degrees, but the air temperature at 38,000 feet is incredibly cold, around -40 degrees. So when the engine's hot exhaust, which contains water vapor, hits the cold temperature, it turns into ice particles that create the white streak of a contrail. The contrail can last for a few seconds or even more than a day, depending on how moist the air is before evaporating. Numerous studies by the government and independent scientists have found no evidence that chemtrails exist. The most extensive was in 2016, where researchers collected water, soil, and snow samples from 70 places below where contrails were seen. None showed high levels of chemicals. So, no, chemtrails are not real. So, where did the conspiracy theory about chemtrails originate? Many believe it started after the U.S. Air Force released a report in 1996 theorizing that a combat aircraft's afterburners could disperse carbon into the air to possibly camouflage the plane from radar. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
On April 19th, Tesla CEO Elon Musk revealed new images of Tesla's latest model, the Cybertruck, a durable electric truck currently in production in Austin, Texas. That same day, Texas Governor Greg Abbott tweeted about the truck. His post featured a video appearing to show a Cybertruck being shot at multiple times by a semi-automatic weapon with no damage to the vehicle. People in the comments on Abbott's retweet questioned if the video was real, so let's verify. Our sources are Slav Popovsky, a Sydney, Australia-based graphic designer, Invid and Revi, footage forensics tools, and TinEye, a reverse image search tool. Using video and image forensics tools, we verified that this video isn't real. It's actually an animation. Verify discovered that the original version was posted to Instagram on December 15, 2019, by Slav Popovsky, a graphic artist in Australia. In the post, Popovsky took credit for creating the animation. There are some other red flags that this video isn't real. The license plate in the animation says PSLAVI, which is Popovsky's trademark. And the background used in the fake video has been used in other graphic designs featuring other vehicles. While Tesla's website says the Cybertruck will have armored glass and a steel exterior that could, in theory, stop a small bullet, the car isn't certified to be bulletproof. And this fake video doesn't show proof of the car's durability. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
Welcome back. With the unpredictability of other vehicles on the road, Tori's out there, people. We've got tips on how to become a more defensive driver. That's today's Auto Alert, sponsored by Ox Car Care. First, be attentive, alert, and prepared for hazards ahead. This includes keeping your hands on the wheel, 10 and 2, eyes on the road, and mind on the drive. Next, avoid texting, eating, and enjoying the views a little too much. Also, make sure you're at a safe following distance. Other drivers have been known to unexpectedly slam on their brakes, so make sure you're leaving at least a 3-car distance between you and the car in front of you. Ox Car Care is dedicated to providing you with an amazing auto protection plan experience that works with your budget. If you're looking for better car care, give them a call today at 800-687-1821. Were you listening, Tori?
Yes, I was. Defensive driver can save lives. You have to think ahead. Think like a chess.
Defensive driver?
Driver and driving.
Think like a chess.
Think like a chess.
Think like a chess.
Think like a chessboard.
Maybe if you weren't on your phone that you're hiding it.
I was looking up something important about Ox Car Care.
Let's see you tomorrow.
Think